kindest men, so smart and so wise, going to give us some knowledge today about the incredible synergistic properties of our nutrition. Dr. Jerome Dixon, how you doing, sir? Oh, we got you on mute. We got you on mute. Let me make sure.
There you go, Craig.
There we go. I got you. Thank you, sir.
I had myself on mute. I forgot.
No problem. Good morning.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Craig. So let me take it and run with it, Craig. So first, let me just say thank you. Thank you for having me on. Thanks, Ron and the whole corporate team, because I think everybody on the call really needs to remember that without you, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing. And I'm kind of humbled and honored to be part of this team, because there's no doubt in my mind that Euphoria is out there and they're focused on changing healthcare in America as well as the world as we move forward. So I'm passionate about this. Anybody that's ever talked to me on the phone or just in person, they know that I can talk about this topic for hours. So I'm going to try to do something that I don't do easily, and that's kind of keep it tight and focused. And I'm going to focus on a couple of things. First, I'm going to talk about my passion and why I'm passionate about this, because I think it's important so people can understand why I've been involved with this project for over 10 years. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the CoQ10 SNP variation. And I picked that one because I think it's very easy for people to understand and grasp what we're doing. And as I explain it, it'll be easy for you to carry that one on and explain the interconnectedness of our U panel to everybody that you meet with this technology. So let's get started. So I'm really passionate because my life is about helping others as a physician. You know, healthcare and health are my goals in life, as well as personally, as well as for all my patients. The science of nutrition, I've been involved with the science of nutrition since the 70s. That's when I started college. And back then, the American Medical Association, as well as the US government, their public policy statement was there is no diet and disease connection, period. All of us on the call right now understand in the Zoom right now, they know that that's an obviously misstatement that happened 30, 40 years ago. That's okay. Science moves forward, and that's what we're here to talk about. And so what really excites me is the genetic scientists are just advancing leaps and bounds in this technology, along with the nutrition scientists. And they meshed it in a form called nutrigenomics, which is a concept of studying both your genetics and studying the nutritional needs of the cell based on their genetics. That term nutrigenomics is fairly a new term. The concept, we knew that it was always there. We just didn't have the technology until the Human Genome Project was completed that we could actually move forward. So what's different about Euphoria? Well, I'm excited because Euphoria brings something to the marketplace that has never been there before. And that's a panel of actionable SNPs, what we affectionately call the Swiss Army panel. It truly is a panel that we thought about and decided of the 600 and over 600,000 SNP variations that we collect when we collect a swab sample from people. These are the ones that we found were the most powerful, the most, what we call our heavy hitters, because they affect every cell in your body. They affect the body's efficiency on how it runs and manufactures energy. And we're going to talk a little bit about that when we talk about the CoQ10 gene. So applied nutrigenomics is a concept I want you to take home from the talk today, because nutrigenomics is the science of studying how genes and nutrition play. What's different about Euphoria is that we're taking that science and applying it in a way that makes it easy for everybody to understand and do. And I think the power for me, it's the doable thing. Okay, that's the goal. The goal is if it's too complicated, people won't do it. Okay, and how does that impact human health? Well, it impacts it because if you can do something on a daily basis, what Ron always talks about, habits are what you makes your health. It's not a fad. This is something that we want to build into people's habit, and taking food on a daily basis, because our nutrition and our practitioner are food-based items, that a bite full of food twice a day is what I tell my patients can change your healthcare. And so that functional application of nutrigenomics is what sets us apart from everybody else on the market. And that's exciting. And what does that do for your body? It literally turns your body and turns genes on and off, okay, what we call epigenetics. It supports genes where they can't quite do what they would like to do in a way that allows your body to be more functional and definitely more efficient. And if your cells, every cell in your body is more functional and it's more efficient, guess what? Everything else it's supposed to be doing is better. And that excites me because I see it every day in my office, how this technology impacts people's lives. So Craig, let's talk about CoQ10. So why did I pick CoQ10? Because you saw that big panel of our Swiss Army knives. I picked it because, as I mentioned earlier, that it's a classic example of an actionable SNP. Okay, for those of you who don't understand a SNP variation, it really is just one molecular difference between one person and another, but it makes a huge impact on how your body reads your genetic code. So that one SNP variation at that NQ1 gene is literally allowing us to understand how you process CoQ10, which is coenzyme Q10. Well, let's first back up and say, okay, what is coenzyme Q10? Most people know the term, but they really don't know what the physiology behind that is. So what is it? Well, it's in all animals, bacteria, humans. It is one of the key enzymes that is used in manufacturing energy, and it's a key antioxidant, okay? But it's fat soluble. So why is that important? Because fat soluble things can pass through cells easily, because our cells are made of what's called a lipid membrane, which is fat. So it allows it to pass in and out of cells very easily. But there's two forms of it. There's ubiquinone, which is the oxidized form, and which is oxidized, and you think about antioxidants. And then there's the reduced form, which is ubiquinol, which is the antioxidized form, okay? So why is that important? Well, your energy production is within the mitochondria. And within the mitochondria, we talk about cellular energy, and the mitochondria is the kind of the powerhouse of every cell. They're called organelles. And so that powerhouse cell or organelle within the cell does something we call aerobic cellular respiration. Aerobic cellular respiration. So let's break it down. So it's oxygen, aerobic, and respiration, meaning the cells breathe. They breathe oxygen. And what do they do with the oxygen? Oxygen is our key energy producer. It's why it's the key nutrient in the human body. I have always considered oxygen your number one nutrient, because you can't live but a few minutes without it. And what does that run? It runs a system called the electron transport system, or a lot of people know it as the Krebs cycle. And the Krebs cycle is literally using CoQ10 as an enzyme system to transport electrons down a chain of reaction that at the end of that chain reaction creates ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is, for a best thing, the way to think about it, it is your energy molecule. If there's one energy molecule in the body that you really want to think about, it produces 80 to 90% of the energy within the human body. So that is key. So if you can create energy within every cell of your body better, more efficiently, guess what happens? Every cell in your body, no matter whether it's a brain cell, whether it's a liver cell, whether it's a stomach lining cell, whatever it is, a kidney cell, it will efficiently do its job better. And it will efficiently do repair and maintenance better. Okay, it will efficiently reproduce itself better. That is what you call health. Health is based on the body's ability to regenerate itself, to repair itself, and to maintain itself. And the better we do that, the better health we have. So where are these mitochondria located? Well, if you think about it, they produce energy. So the higher concentration of the mitochondria are within those high energy requiring organs, like your heart, your liver, your kidney, because they're working day in and day out to cleanse your body or keep your body running like the heart. So why is all this important? Okay. Well, It's important because within the biosynthesis, because we can make CoQ10, it's kind of like a vitamin, but it's not a vitamin because vitamins are things we can't manufacture in our body. But CoQ10 we can manufacture in our body. However, that requires about at least 12 genes to manufacture CoQ10 within the body. And we know that there are mutations and SNP variations within those 12 genes that impact people's ability to actually manufacture CoQ10 efficiently, thus can lead to CoQ10 deficiency inside the cell. That makes it dietary intake, makes dietary intake very important to all of us, okay? So on average, we want to eat foods that are rich in dietary CoQ10. However, if you think about it, what I just said, the highest quantities of those things usually come from, organ meats, okay? Well, in America, we don't eat a lot of that. And in our diet in America, a lot of people are swinging and moving their dietary choices more towards a plant-based diet, which is very important for our health because there's a lot of benefits to that. And we can go into that on a later call sometime if needed. But we kind of get that idea that people are gravitating towards more healthier diet. As well as they do that, they're getting less CoQ10 in their diet. CoQ10 is essential for the Krebs cycle, as we mentioned. And that is literally creating free radicals within your body. So what we do with the panel is we actually have taken all the super antioxidants that your body makes, and we rev those up in the panel as well. Things like glutathione, superoxide dismutase. Those are used to help protect the cell as you're making your own energy. Because what people don't realize, at least I don't think most people realize, is that we generate more free radicals within our body than the environment will ever impact us from, okay? I'll repeat that. We generate more free radicals within our body than the environment will ever impact us on. So endogenous, meaning antioxidants that you make in your body, are the most important, not just what we eat. Now, what we eat triggers you to make those. And so that's where this product fits in and how we can actually make more antioxidants like CoQ10, or we support it by giving you CoQ10. So CoQ10 is an antioxidant. So let me take a breather. So CoQ10 is needed to run the cell, to make the energy, so you can, do everything you do in your cell. But how does it do that? Well, CoQ10 is, as I mentioned earlier, is made up of two different molecules, ubiquinone and ubiquinol. There's an enzyme system right in the middle of that little circle going back and forth. And that enzyme system is exactly what we look at with regards to our Euphoria panel. It's the NQO1 SNP variation. You can easily say it's CoQ10 reductase. And what it's doing is taking that oxidized form of CoQ10 ubiquinol and reducing it back to the active form of ubiquinone, and reducing it to ubiquinol, okay? And so it's a little wheel going around, like the hamster running on the little wheel. So it's the energy that it allows you to manufacture CoQ10, so to speak. So without having that, you can't make energy efficiently. So what did we do in the panel? We realized that this will tell us whether you can use ubiquinone very efficiently, or whether you as an individual need the ubiquinol because you cannot efficiently run that little circle within your energy cycle. We put ubiquinone or ubiquinol or CoQ10 in every product, in Practrition, in Nutrition, and we do that for a reason, because, as I mentioned, most of us are not getting enough of it in the diet. The technology and genetics is showing us that a lot of people have some problems with manufacturing enough CoQ10 in their body. As you age, your manufacturing of CoQ10 drops as well. So it made logical sense to put it in there. But the key is, what form do we put in there? Well, if you can process that little cycle and go round and round without a problem, we put ubiquinone. If you have more difficulty doing that, we put ubiquinone. So the question comes up, how much do we put in? All right. Because you can have all products, and that's a marketing thing that people say, how much do you need? Okay. For a generally healthy population, I'm not talking about a sick patient or a diseased patient that has medical problems, but for general health, we picked the level of about 50 milligrams to put in our product. Why did we put that? Well, because it's a good rough amount. About if you get that much in your diet on a daily basis, you're going to be pretty good if you're generally healthy and don't have a disease or have a drug that interferes with CoQ10. So as we do that, what does that mean to you to try to talk to somebody and say, well, if they ask how much is in there? Well, this is the way I like to explain it to my patients. It's about how much you would have to eat to get the same amount. So how much would you have to eat? Well, let's just use the high sources of things that have a high source of CoQ10 in them to eat them. So for a kilogram of beef liver, okay, a kilogram, for those of you who don't know kilogram conversion, it's about 2.2 pounds. 2.2 pounds of liver contain about 50 milligrams of CoQ10. A kilogram of sardines contains about, 2.2, 50 milligrams of 50 to 60 milligrams of ubiquinone. So we're putting quite a big amount. If you tried to eat a diet that contained that much CoQ10, I think it'd be pretty much impossible to do that. So when somebody looks at the product and even though you can buy higher doses of CoQ10 on the open market, the reality is how much is necessary, okay? And I know Jen has talked about this in the past on some of her talks. It's not about maximizing everything and blowing it out of the water to where a point that the body can't use it. What we're trying to do with nutrition is make a product that is usable, but not so overloaded with ingredients that it actually requires energy to get rid of it, because either your liver has to get rid of it or your kidneys have to get rid of it. It's a workload for the body. So it's that synergistic balance that took years of looking at and making the algorithm of you and making us understand what is a need of the cell, based on the cell, based on the SNP variations that we're looking at, those high-powered, actionable SNPs. So in closing, so proper CoQ10 supply and functional metabolism, that's what it's about. It's about you have to get enough supply. And what does it do for you? It improves your functional metabolism of every cell in your body. So you can produce more energy in your body. And how do these relate to each other? Well, they relate because we talked about that Krebs cycle, that energy, the respiratory inside the cell, how the cells kind of breathe and make energy. Well, if you can see the ATP5C1 gene on the list there, that is to make, it's actually an enzyme system. It's mitochondrial ATP synthase. It's in that cycle as well. Then you look at I mentioned that this is an antioxidant, but you need other antioxidants because you're creating all these free radicals that you make ATP with. So we have, the SOD2 gene, and we have the glutathione gene, the GSTP1 gene. Those are important because they create an antioxidant environment within your cell that protects the cell from itself. Think of the mitochondria as this little furnace, and it's burning hot to make energy. Well, those antioxidants that you make inside the cell protect that cell from destroying itself. In fact, the cell is so smart that if you don't have enough antioxidant ability inside the cell will naturally down-regulate energy production, because if it doesn't, it will destroy itself. So by boosting our ability within the cell using our SNP variations to boost the cell's antioxidant ability to manufacture antioxidants and to absorb antioxidants, we allow the cell to maximize its energy production so it can maximize its production on whatever it's supposed to be doing in your body to keep your body healthy. It's all about health. And that U panel, that actionable SNP panel, is bar none, in my opinion, the best panel I've ever seen and created, because they're heavy hitters. They work together synergistically in a way that they help the body heal itself. Another way is just think about how we detox our body. The epoxide gene, which is the EPHX1 gene on the list, which it's a microsomal, epoxide hydroxylase gene. And so you're making this enzyme system that helps you detoxify things. But if you don't have enough energy, guess what? You can't manufacture that well and you can't detoxify well. But as soon as you crank up the energy system, your detoxification system does better. Basically everything in your body does better. So the real question is, why this company? Why Euphoria? And why now? And more importantly to me, why you? And think about why you. And do you want optimal nutrition, number one? Because I tell everybody, the first step is do it for yourself. Because if you're not healthy, it makes it more difficult for you to spread this message, because this truly is a message. It's a message to get this technology to the people and to talk about it and make them understand this is not, something that we have to wait another 50 years on. We can take advantage of it right now. Euphoria Science is the applied nutrigenomics company for the 21st century. Applied nutrition is the key. We took it the next step. There's a lot of companies out there giving you genetic information and saying, well, eat this and eat that. But hopefully I've made my point that to know the knowledge and then go to try to eat the foods or even buy the supplements you want to buy to match up to your genetics is extremely difficult for the general population. And what we want to do is we want to do the turn of this century what happened the turn of last century. So everybody has their analogies on how they explain, what Euphoria really is and what we're trying to do with the technology that we have in our hands. And I like this analogy best, okay? And I go back another century to what happened at the turn of the 19th century. And what was that? What was the big revolution that happened for all of us? And that was the fact that we had electricity. And it was Tesla, and it was Einstein and Edison. Those people changed the way that we look at the technology of the world. With that being, so what did they do? Well, Tesla, he had the science, he had the innovation, and the inventions. But why did Edison top him and best him in the knowledge that he had? And the way that happened was Edison had a team of scientists. It wasn't just him. Tesla was by himself. They innovated a bunch of inventions. But more importantly, they took those innovative inventions and they took it to the American people. And they took it through their sales force around the United States, around the world, and changed the world that we live in now through that technology. That's my vision for Euphoria. That should be your vision for Euphoria, that we have the technology and we have the ability to bring this to everybody's home, to everybody in America, and actually change the landscape of health in America and the world. So with that, Craig, I'm going to stop, and I challenge everybody to get out there and talk about this message